I'm National Master Wesley Falcao, and I'm the inventor of the Drunken Master Opening. The Drunken Master is a wild, crazy blitz chess opening that I invented early in 2018, and it's meant for the fun-loving chess player who likes adventure on the board and lots of tactics and free-moving pieces on the board. And I've used this opening successfully against FIDE masters, international masters, and even grandmasters. And now I'm excited to share some of my most beautiful games with you. I really hope you enjoy them. So in this first video, I'm just going to show you a game I played against a grandmaster on chess.com. His name is Grandmaster Keith Arkell, and this was played in December 5, 2018. And I was playing white in this game, so I'm going to show you from the white side, and I'm playing the grandmaster's moves from the black side here. So I played b3, which is a normal move, which Super Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura often plays in blitz. So far I'm going Nakamura. c5, e3. Now that's a bit weird. Normally you would follow b3 with bishop b2, but I play e3. So the player who's not familiar with what white's doing may think that, okay, it's just another move, and white's soon going to play bishop b2 and play the regular plans with that opening. So the grandmaster played b6, and now I played c3. Now that's suspicious, because it's not a move that makes sense in the position. You ideally want to play bishop b2, you want to play knight f3, you want to play d4, but c3 is just a waste of time, or so it seems. So anyway, black plays bishop b7, makes sense, develop the bishop. d3. Now, if you're playing this against white for the first time, if you're on the black side, and if you see this, you probably start thinking, what's my opponent up to? Is he trolling me? What is he doing? And it does seem like when you face this for the first time, I'm sure it seems like your opponent's trolling you. And a lot of people on chess.com, when they face this opening for the first time, they ask me, like, are you serious? Some people say, oh, whoa, what a troll. And I've got a lot of mixed reactions to this kind of play within the first 4 or 5 moves. So in this game, the grandmaster played g6, and I played a3. Okay, so the point of this will be clear very soon. The next move was bishop g7, and now I played rook a2. This is the key move in the Drunken Master Opening. And the reason it's the key move is because the plan in the Drunken Master is to put all of your pawns on the third rank. Well, almost all of the pawns. Usually the g3 pawn needs protection, so you have to be careful when you play h3, because g3 is always loose, and a move like queen c7 could hit g3 and you could be in trouble. That's one of the reasons why the rook's on a2, so that when you play f3 and g3, the rook usually goes behind the g-pawn, supports the g-pawn, and then the h-pawn can advance, maybe to h3, maybe to h4. Even the g-pawn can push to g4. So that's the point of having the rook on e2. And it also strengthens the weak point in white's position, which is the f2 square. So in many lines, when this gets opened up this way and the queen's ready to check, there is an extra protection from the rook on the f2 square. Now, I wouldn't recommend playing like this, but that's an additional point for the rook to be on the second rank here. And I usually move the rook to the second rank before I play f3. Okay. So rook a2, and the grandmaster played d5. And now I played f3, and he played e5. So he's playing all of the standard moves in the position. These are all very sound chess moves according to sound chess principles. Control the center, develop your pieces. If possible, occupy the center with your pawns. All of these are very well-known chess principles, and they're good chess principles. White, on the other hand, has violated all these principles. He has not developed a single minor piece. He has, quote-unquote, developed a rook which is on a ridiculous-looking square. So what is White really doing? It's not yet clear. And then he follows it up with g3, which is really weird. But I'm familiar with this position. I play this with White, with Black, so I know what I'm doing here. But you'll see soon enough what White's up to in this position. So at this point, the Grandmaster had too much of this nonsense, and he just went ahead with d4, saying, all right, I'm going to break this open, and I'm going to show you what you get for not developing your position. d4, so I take, c takes d, and I locked it up with e4. I do not want to trade on d4 because it's just a horrible trade for me. Because now if Black takes, then my position is just ridiculous. Even if Queen takes, this square on d4 later on will become a great outpost for one of his knights. So there's no reason for me to take on d4, which is why I play e4. I lock up the position, give myself more time to maneuver my pieces and start getting my kingside pawns moving. So c takes d and e4. Knight to e7, h4. Now that g3 is not really threatened, I'd have no need to move the rook here to protect it. I can just advance h4. So the Grandmaster was like, I don't believe all this nonsense. Castles. And I was happy to see this because now I immediately followed it up with h5. And White saying that, look, development of pieces is overrated. I'm just going to start moving my pawns towards your king, and I'm going to open up your king position, and I can see some ideas to attack your king. What are you going to do? So the Grandmaster played knight c6. He's still following general chess principles. He's developing his pieces. He's getting ready to move his rook out to c8. Once he does that, he'll have the open c file, and everything looks good so far. And now comes the move which I really like to make in the Drunken Master opening. Rook a to h2. That is just so aesthetically pleasing. Even if I lose the game, I like the fact that I played rook to h2 from a2. It's just so awesome. How many times have you seen the side being able to double rooks on the h file without moving a single minor piece? I haven't seen it in any other opening. I've seen it plenty of times in the Drunken Master opening, and it's given me great results. And if you analyze this position with Stockfish, Stockfish actually thinks White is better in this position, believe it or not. And the reason White is better is because his king position, Black's king position is really unsafe. These rooks are lined up on the h file. h7 square is a little loose. If White trades on the h file is going to be open for both his rooks, and then suddenly both his rooks are in business. And you see, the advantage of not having moved this rook is that it doesn't really need to be moved. It's perfectly placed for any kind of assault on the h file. And the bishop's going to land up here, trade this guy, and then the queen could follow up and go here, and then you could have lots of checkmate ideas here. So that's the idea behind rook to h2. And I'm not sure what was going on in the Grandmaster's mind as he saw this. Certainly, I'm sure, if he had not read my article previously, that this is the first time he must have seen a maneuver like this. Rook from a1, a2 to h2, doubling up on the h file. And he probably reacted to that shock or the surprise value of that move, and he played f5, which I was really happy to see. So he's saying, I don't believe this H-file nonsense, I'm just going to open it up. Or maybe he was concerned that he might get mated on the H-file and he opened up a square for his king to escape, but probably not the case. So he played f5, and I quickly played b4 in the position. So my idea is to play queen b3 check, king has to move away, right? And then I can simply trade, and it's going to be mate on h7. It's just that easy. So I played b4. Though if I were to be more precise, I would have first taken on g6 and then played b4. You will see why in a moment. So I played b4, and the GM took on e4. His point is that if I play queen b3 check, he can play queen d5 and block this check. Still, after queen takes d5, check, knight takes d5, and d takes e4, white is doing much better. Because now if say this knight moves knight e7 or knight f6, then bishop c4 check, king has to move, and then h takes g6. And as you can see, black is just lost in this position. In fact, this position is so dangerous for black that the engines say do not even move this knight, play a move like rook c8. So the point being that if you take on d5, then knight takes b4, and lots of tricks like that in the position. Where was this? Oh, this is b4, right? So rook c8, but even here white is able to get a slight advantage. I won't go into the details, but anyway, that's if I play queen b3 check. So in this position, strategically speaking, the most correct move is f takes e4, and the reason for that is now white's knight has a fantastic square on f3, from which it can hop to g5, and then it can start tickling h7. And in this position, I would simply play knight takes h7 without even thinking, because it's going to open up the king so badly, and these two rooks are going to open up on the king. The queen's coming to h5. This is just horrible for black. So f takes e4 was strategically the correct move in the position. But I played d takes e4 thinking that, oh, now I can get my bishop moving. So I didn't think of my knight, I thought of my bishop, which is okay, but in this case the knight was the more powerful piece. So d takes e, and the grandmaster finally realized how dangerous the position was for him, and he played g5, closing it off, not allowing the h-file to be opened, which is why white should have first taken on g6 before doing any of this stuff here. So I missed that chance, and he played g5, closing it off here. And I played bishop c4 check, which was not a good move. Rook's on a8, by the way. Because now black just goes king h8, and that's where the king wants to be. This bishop's going to be exposed on c4 once the rook gets to c8. So instead of bishop c4, I could have simply taken on g5. But anyway, I played check, king h8, and I took on g5. So now I'm up upon against a grandmaster. But that's not the end of the story, right? He's a grandmaster. He's a strong player, and he's not going to give you a win very easily. And he's just about to show you how much dynamism exists in his own position. So bishop takes g5, h6, and I played bishop d2 here. Could have played bishop c1 also, but I don't know. It was just a matter of preference. I think bishop d2 for me, I guess I was thinking like maybe a4 and knight a3, bring my knight out that way, protect b4. So that was probably an idea. But the main thing I wanted to do in this position was to play the move bishop d3, lock this up again, and then if possible, in some variations, maybe play f4, bring the knight here, move to h4, and f5, move to g6, and post this knight on g6. And this will be an absolute beast on g6. You cannot really take it because then h takes g6 and the rooks are in business on the h file. So that was a potential idea. It's not immediately possible. There was a potential idea in the position. The other idea is, of course, to maybe like knight h3, knight f2, knight g4, attack h6. But even then, the rooks are not in play just yet. So, but bishop d3 is the move that starts all of this activity. So, this is where you know that black is a grandmaster, because within 3 seconds of me playing bishop d2, he played d3 himself, stopping that bishop d3 idea. And I played bishop e3, getting ready to take this pawn, and the grandmaster was like, alright, you can take that, knight d4. So he's playing for activity now. He's not concerned that he's losing a few pawns here, because he knows he has more development than I do. My rooks are now not well placed at all because my own pawn's blocking them. If this pawn were not here, then the rooks would be excellently placed attacking h6. But the presence of this pawn on h5 makes it all the more difficult for these rooks to be meaningful in the game. So knight d4, and I had two or three options. I could have taken with the bishop. On d3 I can take with the queen, but the engines show that the most precise move was bishop takes d4, queen takes d4, and queen takes d3, offering a trade of queens, because the engines are able to see that black's chances in this position are very, very good. So the engine was more in like get the hell out of this position mode. So that would have been the correct way of playing, or at least from an engine perspective, the correct way of playing the position. But I played queen takes d3. It's a pawn. I took it, and he took on f3 check. I took, and he took back. So now he's already equalized, and his rook is extremely well placed. His bishop's extremely well placed. His bishop on g7 is not doing that much, but at least it's holding up this h6 and e5. Knight on e7 is not doing great yet. Rook can come to c8, and once it gets there, it's going to be extremely effective. His queen is extremely well placed on d8, whereas my piece is okay. The bishop's good on c4, but it's not really hitting anything. Bishop on e3 hits h6, so that's good. The knight on b1 is still out of the game. These two rooks are out of the game. I have a queen that's sort of active, but that's all. So black's position is a little more preferable in this at this moment. But it's a blitz game. It's a 3-minute blitz game, no increment. And I figured that as long as I have queens on the board, I have chances to complicate the position, which is what you're always looking to do in the Drunken Master Opening. You try to complicate, you force your opponent to think and to consume his time, and you finally make him run out of time. And that's one of the strategies of the Drunken Master Opening. So I played queen e2, attacking the rook on f3. And he could have taken on e4 here. And after knight d2, he could have taken on e3, queen takes, and then bishop takes h1, and he could have had a better position. But he didn't do that. Instead, he took on g3. No, actually, no. He played rook c8, which was a strange move. So he's saying, all right, you can take my rook on f3. I'm going to take your bishop on c4. And once that happens, I have an attack on e4, my rook on c4 is really active, and my queens come into d3 and so on. So I saw that and I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to allow that kind of trade. But actually it turned out that we were both wrong, because after queen takes, rook takes, and knight d2, rook c3, white can just simply castle in this position. And there is nothing that black has. If queen d3 attacking e1, then simply rook e1. And no queen takes d2 IDS, because rook takes d2, not bishop takes d2. And now queen's coming to f7. So this would have been the correct way and the winning exchange for me. But I was too afraid of letting him have that kind of activity, and I rejected the offer of the exchange, which I should have taken. So anyway, I played knight d2, defending the bishop, and now he took on g3. Queen f2, attacking the rook. Rook g4. Queen f3, attacking the rook again. And here there was another tactic in the position. He could have played rook takes e4. And if knight takes e4, then rook takes c4. And this knight is pinned to the queen. But he missed that tactic. I missed it too. And instead of rook takes e4, he played rook f4, because there's no other place for the rook to escape. So he played rook f4. Bishop takes, e takes, queen takes f4. And now he played queen d4. And objectively speaking, this position is equal. The engine certainly thinks so. Black is extremely well placed with his queen on d4. His rook on c8 is extremely well placed. His bishop on b7 is really well placed. Bishop on g7 is okay. It's holding up 8-6. Maybe later on it could have some influence here. The knight on e7 is not participating in the game just yet. On the other hand, white has an exchange for all of this and an extra pawn. So white has compensation for black's activity. Even though in this position, I think black is the one that is surely pressing and has the initiative. So now he is threatening rook takes c4. So I simply played bishop e6, running away. But that was not a precise move. The engines are actually suggesting a move like rook g2, trying to hit g7, give up this exchange, take on g7, check, and the activity of the remaining rook and the queen ensures that white gets a draw in this position. But I didn't quite see that far. So I played bishop e6. He played rook f8, attacking my queen. I played queen g3. And here he could have played bishop e5, winning the exchange. And that would have been, there's no easy way to say it. I would have lost the game from there if he had done that. But he missed his chance. And he played queen a1 check instead. I played king e2. Now my rook's attacking the queen. He played bishop a6 check, which was a really bad move. Because now I simply play bishop c4. And there's no way he can protect both his queen and the bishop. And sadly for him, he had to trade this bishop with check. Knight takes, queen d4, knight back, defending e4. And we have reached the same position, but the light squared bishops have vanished from the board. And my king's feeling a little more safe now, because that strong bishop is gone. And my rooks are ready now to come out of this restricted position that they were in before. So that turned out to be a really bad trade for him. So now he played rook d8, attacking the knight on d2. And I played queen e3, offering a trade of queens, which he cannot really trade because I'm up material. I have a rook and a pawn for a bishop. So his only chance is to create some play and make sure that my king, which is out here in the center, has no safe place to hide. So that's his only chance to get some counterplay and get going in this position. So he retreated queen e5. And now finally I got rook g2 in the position. Now my rook's sitting g7. The other rook can come to g1, and white is now back in the game with this rook g2 move. So rook g2, he goes knight c6, threatening knight d4 check. So I blocked it with knight f3. Knight f3, queen b2 check, king to f1, queen b1 check, knight to e1. You gotta be willing to defend a lot in the Drunken Master Opening, because often your king's out exposed. So it's not just move your rooks to the king side or queen side and just push pawns and attack, but often at times you have to be very precise in defense, and that's the beauty of the game, that it's these kind of complications and wild attacking chances and defensive maneuvers that makes a Drunken Master game really, really beautiful. And if you see some of my games on my chess.com profile, my chess ID, as I said, is Chess Revelation, you will find hundreds of games that I've played, and each game, almost every game, is beautiful in terms of tactics and just the amount of pieces flying in all different directions, and kings moving to crazy squares and rooks moving all over the place and so on. So that's the beauty of this opening. So knight e1, rook f8 check, rook f2, blocks the check, takes it, and queen takes. We are both running short of time here. It's a 3-minute blitz game. And I don't know if he missed it or he didn't think it was good, but he didn't take on e4. He played knight e5 instead. So I defended e4 with queen e2. And he goes queen b3. And I went king g2 in this position. Now I'm getting ready to move my rook out, or even my knight out to f3. So he played queen e6 in this position, so that if I play knight f3, he can go queen g4 check and try to annoy me in that way. So I didn't go for that. I instead played the good move, rook h4, blocking g4 from the queen. And now I'm threatening knight f3, and there's no stopping that. So he played knight f7. He's just making moves now because he's running out of time, and he has to make moves. So knight f3, finally, white is now clearly in control. Queen e7, attacking the rook, rook g4. What did he play here? Bishop to e5 and rook g6, finally. The rooks come out of his jail and come to an excellent, probably the best square for the rook on the whole board, attacking h6, which is still defended, but the rook's extremely well placed on g6. Bishop c7, queen b2 check, knight e5, queen d4. I could have just taken on e5, but okay, I was playing fast because I was also short of time here. And king h7, getting out of the pin. And here, again, objectively, the correct move is knight takes e5. And after a move like bishop takes e5, queen d5, threatening queen g8 mate, it's extremely difficult for black to do anything about it. But instead, I played in this position queen d5, offering the exchange. And my point was that if knight takes g6, h takes g6, king takes g6, I can play queen f5 check, king g7, and knight d4. And in a practical blitz game with no increment, this knight coming to e6 and maybe f5 in some positions is going to make life really, really difficult for white, for black. And I was right about that. So he actually didn't take the exchange. He thought it was so dangerous to allow this knight, or maybe he just didn't see it, I don't know. He just took the knight. But then I simply played queen g8, and that was checkmate. And I was extremely pleased to win in this fashion against a grandmaster. I have played a couple of grandmasters in the Drunken Master Opening. I have a mixed score against them. I would say the grandmasters obviously have higher winning percentage against me in the Drunken Master Opening, but I have had quite a few wins myself. And I am not a grandmaster. I am just a national master in the United States Chess Federation. If it were someone like Nakamura playing this opening, I don't know who he might be able to beat with this opening. But I hope you have enjoyed this first game that I showed you in the Drunken Master Opening, and I look forward to making more interesting videos in this opening. And of course, I recommend that you look at my article on chessbase.com, which goes into the origins of this opening and the name of the opening and why it's called the Drunken Master. I can give you a brief explanation. As you can see, this whole idea of moving pawns on the third rank at the start of the game, this idea of having all your pawns up here like this, that just sounds extremely stupid. And it's almost as if the player who is playing this opening is drunk and he doesn't know what he's doing. A movie of Jackie Chan called The Drunken Master, and it's about this style of kung fu called drunken boxing, where Jackie Chan is able to box while he's drunk, and it produces a very peculiar style of kung fu where the more he's drunk, the more effectively he manages his drinking, the better he can fight. So it's similar in the Drunken Master Opening, that you seem to be drunk with this kind of style, but if you master this art of drunkenness, you can create some really fascinating kung fu drunken boxing on the chessboard, and you can even box some grandmasters while doing so.